Hi everybody, welcome to week 4 in which we'll talk about student developmental theory, or really theories of how all of our participants, whether they're students or adults, travelers, how they are thinking, how they learn, how they grow. We're then going to consider how these theories inform the work that we do regarding program design, how we create programs, how we write curricula, how we support our participants during times of challenge and struggle as well. All along, we're thinking about what is developmentally appropriate for the participants in question. I wanted to first introduce the objective of the model, which is again to help us understand where our participants are coming from and how this applies and informs our programs and our creation and development of the programs. There are 4 readings this week. The first is a case study. Krebs and Krebs are the authors. It's about 2 sisters, both of whom are teachers, but with very different groups, very different populations. This article forms the case study that we'll be writing about and exploring in our discussion forum. You'll also have a chance, of course, to reflect on your own experiences, but do read this article carefully since we will be talking about it, pulling it apart in depth. The remaining 3 articles are exploring different developmental theories that are good for us to be familiar with. And I want to note that the articles are written from a Western perspective. There are many neo-theories that build on these and apply them across cultures. So they're taking what are considered these 3 classical theories and expanding them for a broader, more diverse understanding. Keep that in mind as you read these 3 foundational pieces, however, and think about how they apply with your own experiences and with the participants with whom you're currently working. So for example, I apply this to myself by reflecting on the different learning models that my high school exchange students were experiencing when I worked with AFS. Then I think about the experiences and learning preferences of the college students with whom I've worked, both undergraduates, graduate students, and many of the adult graduate students with whom I work right now. I think about the participants in professional development and citizen diplomacy, the citizen exchange programs I work with when I worked with World Learning in Washington, D.C. many years ago. Many of those participants were older, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and required even a different approach to how the content was presented and how the programs were organized. So please think about your participants and think about experiences that you've had and how all of this applies and can help inform your understanding. We're looking at 3 particular theories this coming week. The first is psychosocial, which is about how groups order what they think is important. So it's about values and importance of ideas. The second is cognitive structural, which is about how people organize their thinking. So the word cognitive is pretty familiar to everybody and has to do with how our brains process information. That's what the second theory is exploring. The third theory is social identity theory, and the key word here is the identity. How do we understand ourselves? How do we identify? Which groups do we identify with and why? I think you'll enjoy the reading. Please don't worry, it's very thick. You don't need to remember every detail that you read, but the idea is to come away with a broad understanding of each of these sets of theory. Pardon me while I check my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. Okay, so that's the readings. What you're going to do this week is start with the readings. After that, you'll see a PowerPoint narrated by Linda once again. This is one of her most favorite topics in the world. And after you view the PowerPoint, there's a discussion forum. I just want to caution you, the PowerPoint only has 5 or 6 slides, but it takes a good 30 to 40 minutes to go through, especially if you stop every so often to take notes, which of course I highly encourage. So again, readings, PowerPoint, and then the discussion forum builds on that first article by Krebs and Krebs, asking you to process the case study that they give us to work with and apply it to your own work, your own understanding, the reflection that we're always taking care of. Just a note in closing, a lot of students ask, which theory do I work with? If I'm thinking about a capstone topic, how do I know which theory to use? The truth is, this is really an art, and it's absolutely up to you. One of the theories, or perhaps even two, will end up speaking to you more than the others. For some reason, perhaps you find your students talking with you a lot about identity. If you're working with high school or college-age students, where they are still growing into their personalities, maybe you're having a lot of conversations about gender roles, about sexual identity. In that case, social identity theory might be useful to you to help you understand their thinking, to help you frame questions to ask them, and perhaps to help you frame your counseling as well. Some of you might be thinking about how groups work together, and in that case, the psychosocial might be of greatest help for you. Again, you have pretty good instincts, and I am confident that as the years go on, you'll learn how to play with the theories and how to use each one to its best ability. In closing, everybody, I hope you enjoy the content, and I think you'll find it informative. We'll be coming back to this as you write your proposals and talk about the rationale for how you've developed a curriculum, why you've structured a program the way you have. So it's important material, it's serious material, and I hope you enjoy learning about it. As always, post any questions to Moodle Doodles, and I look forward to seeing you online and engaging with you there. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.